Yes, welcome back. Corey.
Yes.
Bit of an up and down week, man.
It has been, my brother.
Just one of those days where you don't want to get up. Keep rolling.
Mate, it's pretty cold here, mate. A bit like the Hawks fourth quarters, to be honest. But yeah, we've got to get into it. We're going to obviously thank our two amazing sponsors, Principal Brewing and Enable U2. Got some news regarding Enable U2. They've secured a couple of Hollywood seats, courtside seats for the upcoming NBL 1 season at the Snake Pit. So that's really, really exciting. Looking forward to that season and continuing our podcast and following that team and the Hawks players who are playing elsewhere in NBL 1 throughout the season. What about Principal, mate? What are we doing this Wednesday?
You know exactly where to find us on a Wednesday evening to cheer on the boys on the way home at the local at Principal Brewing. Same deal will apply until the Hawks miss a free throw. Scooters will be mini prices. Come down, have a burger, have a beer. Let's cheer on the boys, hopefully to a game 5.
Oh, let's go. All right, well, let's look at game 2. Now, this was the game that we played in Melbourne, and continue. The home team can't seem to get a win in this series. So the Hawks prevailed 102-100. A couple of keys to this game. We got to the line a lot more than they did. So we got to shoot 30 free throws. We made 21 of them, which is an okay percentage. Could be a little bit better. They went to the line and went 13 of 18. They hit 15 three-pointers and still lost the game, and 7 of them were in the first quarter. I remember sitting there watching that game saying, they've hit 7 threes in this quarter. A team who usually hits 7 threes in a quarter isn't usually equal with the team. And it was 29 all going to the end of that first quarter. And I thought, that's a pretty good sign. When the team's hit 7 threes and they're not leading, that's very rare in a game of basketball. The thing is, they hit 7 in a quarter. We only hit 7 in the game. And one of those was obviously the game winner. And we still somehow were able to win that game. So, again, we've spoken a little bit about this, about the Hawks. If they're not shooting well from the 3, they only had 23 attempts compared to what we'll talk to you about when they play in that game 3. They can find other ways to try and score. So, obviously, getting inside, getting to the line, looking for more high percentage shots, pushing the tempo. Dave Hickey's very, very good at pushing that tempo, getting some easy buckets. The keys to the Hawks doing well. Also, we want to get those high scores. It's been proven the only game we've won this series is when the scores have been higher. The 2 lowest scoring games we've happened to lose. So what about some more stats, buddy?
Look, we won the rebound count again in another close game, 42-35. Our offensive rebounds were 14-7. Now, a big stat for this game, though, was Melbourne's 16 turnovers to our 6. Now, off the back of their 16 turnovers, Corey, we had 26 points off the turnovers. So an absolutely huge stat. Now, there's one that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's been the Hawks' strength this season. But in this series, there has seemed to be a common theme that whichever bench has outscored the other in the game, that team's then gone on to lose the game.
That's crazy.
So Melbourne this game, Corey, 64-25.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Off the back of Ian Clark's 31.
That's crazy.
Not seen the Hawks.
Only 36 points from their starters. That is unheard of. I don't think I've seen a bench stat like that for the whole season. So super impressive. But yeah, obviously a big contribution from Ian Clark, who's been very special in this series. But yeah, let's look at a few stats from the Hawks in this game. Yeah, obviously Harvey is a key man. We know when he scores over 20, we're pretty tough to beat. He was 24 points, 2 assists. Froling was very strong. His best game of the series with 23, 5, and 3. Kell was very, very solid across all stats with his 18, 8, and 6. One, he chipped in very nicely with a 12 and 3. So it seems when the Hawks get good contributions from their starters, we seem very, very tough to beat. But it was Clark. It was a Clark show for Melbourne. He almost stole it for them. He had 31, 3, and 2. Delhi, again, who's been super solid, probably the favourite to win finals MVP at this stage with 14-2-5. Golding with 17-3-4 still hasn't had a real big breakout game, which does concern me. And Krebs was a very, very big spark off the bench. Their bench was super efficient in this game. We had a quick look at the stats. They had 3 guys who were shooting around the 67% mark and 2 guys who were 100% from the field. So that 64 points was at a really high clip. So we pretty much contained their starters. Like Jack White had 0 points. And again, we dealt with 14 and Goulding with 17. You take that in most games. So they did a really good job on the starters, and we were able to get that victory. Let's talk about the game, though, Sammy, and how, again, we had a really strong lead going into that fourth quarter. I believe we were up 11 then, mate. Yeah. What
happened? The fourth quarters of the Hawks' Achilles heel. Now, it's going to be something that we're going to talk about a little bit later on with the fourth quarter in the third game. But going into these fourth quarters, if the Hawks aren't up by 15 plus, I don't think they've won a single quarter. And I don't think they've won a single game because the lead's not large enough that the Hawks can then start making mistakes and let their foot off the gas. They're a 3-quarter team, not a 4-quarter team. Yeah. And in today's day and age, especially in a grand final series, against
Melbourne United as well, who are, I've said it all season, the best team at closing out games and the best fourth quarter team in the whole competition. But we're up 11, and then 25 seconds into the fourth quarter, we're only up 6. They hit a 3 and a 2 very, very quickly. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, geez, we could be down in this game within the next 2 minutes. But we seem to maintain a very small lead all the way till the end when Melbourne, Goulding had a shot missed. They got an offensive board. I'm like, I hate these moments where they get second chances at the end of games. They get it to a corner with Clark. We crazy foul him from behind. Probably the worst person ever. It was a tough shot. If he makes that shot, you got to live with it. But we foul him. He goes to the line. Not only does he make him, he nothing but net. All 3 of them just ice cold. He is clutch personified. And they get the lead by 1. There's 10 seconds left. I'm like, we can't do it. We're the worst team in the comp in close games. It's not going to happen for us, Sammy. I just can't see it happening. They get the ball into Harvey, a few jab steps, a few people calling for a travel, but, oh well, pretty sure Ian Clark got away with one that got him into the grand final in the first place. So we're going to take it. What did the commentators say? Big shot maker. Great shot taker, big shot maker. Harvey steps up, nails a 3. I'm not going to lie, I went crazy, but then I looked at the clock and said, there's still 6 seconds left. There's still 6 seconds left. You are giving Chris Goulding 6 seconds. And Melbourne are the best team at executing in these type of moments. They did execute again. They had the ball into Delhi, who found Goulding, who got a great look. The ball was 3/4 of the way down, found a way to pop out, and we ran away and said, thank the Lord, we've got a victory. It's 1-1. We're going home. Can we get a 2-1 lead? And then we can't. The game 3, and unfortunately, we went down 83-77. Again, Melbourne seemed to really love these low-scoring battles. From the start, it was really low-scoring in that first quarter. Melbourne got off to a really great start. I think it was 8-0. The guy who sits behind me was blowing up an absolute treat, saying, this is rubbish. It's 8-0. Come on, boys. The Hawks did really well to take out a, I think, 21-15 first quarter lead. This game was really based on big runs, and we'll talk a little bit later about the runs that happened towards the end of the game. But that was the first one. So the Hawks were down 8-0, but then led 21-15. So this is what we're talking about. This is the big part of the game that is quite shocking when you hear it. So the Hawks were down 60-53, and I thought, oh, here we go again. This is going to be game 1 all over again. Then, from pretty much nowhere, we went on an 18-1 run, pretty much on a little spark of 3-point shooting. We only hit 7, but I feel like we got 2 or 3 in that little period. Yeah. And we took a 71-61 lead deep into the fourth, because I think we went into the fourth up 67-60. And And then we had two great opportunities. I think it was Kell had a chance at a three. It was a decent looking look. And then we had Lee in a corner, decent look, but both missed badly. Not like close misses where you're, it's unlucky. They both missed badly. If one of those go in and we get up 13, I honestly believe we win the game.
Yep.
I think it's over. But then what happened, mate? What happened? What did Melbourne go on?
Then off the back of that, Melbourne went on an insane 22-6 run, keeping the Hawks to 10 fourth quarter points, which is by far their absolute worst quarter of the season. And ended the game. They iced it. They iced the game with 2 threes off the back of it.
Yeah. They were just ultimately clutch.
Yeah.
Delhi stepped up, showed his experience, his NBA experience, obviously playing in big final series with LeBron there at the Cavs and stepping up. He just was great in the clutch, getting the ball down low and just not taking silly shots, being super patient down low and getting great percentage shots and finishing. And his little floaters, beating people off the dribble, just doing the things that you need to do to win games when it's close and tight. He wasn't scared of the moment. He stepped up, and I've been like super critical of Delhi in some parts of his game, but I can't be critical of him in these moments. He's been absolutely sensational. Like I said earlier, I think he's got to be favourite for finals MVP, which I don't think many people probably would have had him at the start of the season, even at the start of this series. But a couple more stats, mate. Let's talk about the three-point shooting. It wasn't an overly great three-point shooting from either team.
No, look, the Hawks hit 8 threes, and we've always said if the Hawks hit 10 plus threes, it's very hard to beat them in a game. They hit 8, Melbourne hit 9. So, but the big stat for me was that they went to the line 21 times and hit 14 from 29. We went to the line 8 times. So their discipline was off the charts. And it's something that we'll talk about in a second with Delhi's points and his assists and everything. But the discipline from Melbourne in this game after being, losing how they lost at home was unreal. But again, Corey, 34-9 bench points. The Hawks bench decimated, absolutely decimated like normal.
Yeah.
But the better bench, they lost the game. So it's one of those
crazy stat.
stats.
I just can't get over it, if I'm being honest. I just can't get over the stat. That could be what is going to happen throughout the whole series. Usually that is a contributing factor to a team winning, but all 3 games so far, the bench who's been outscored has gone on to win the game. But it was Melbourne starters. They totally outplayed our starters. It seems that whoever starters get the job done in this series so as far as won the game. That's probably a big key stat as well. Our starters are very strong in that game too. However, not so strong in this game. While we look at this, White bounced back after having 0 points to have 20. Very smart coach, and they run the first play for him to get him an open look at a 3. Hits it straight away. Any basketball player's confidence is going to rise from that, knowing you just scored 0, hit your first shot, it's a 3. You're going to be feeling it. He's a great player too. So he's not just a has-been or an also-ran. He's a very strong player. So he gets that confidence up. You better look out. Delhi, again, we spoke about it, was special with 16. But most impressive, he had 11 assists with 0 turnovers. I believe that's never happened in finals history, championship series history. So very, very impressive stat there. And Ian Clark, again, was special, made some tough shots, 16 and 7. Lee, again, was solid. I think he missed a few gimmies in this game and was pretty shocking from the free throw line. It was a bit of a walking cheeseburger. I think he missed 4 in a row. The crowd was loving it. But he had a solid 8 points and 8 rebounds. That's probably all he really needs to do for them. But like we've said, all season long, mate, these fourth quarters have been an absolute issue all season for the Hawks. And if they can't clean it up in this game 4, I think it's going to be dream over, unfortunately. And it's going to be the end of our season. It's really important they get these fourth quarters sorted out.
Just speaking of, Corey, in the last 3 fourth quarters, it has been 85-51. The Hawks have been outscored every single quarter by at least 10 or more points. And it's just something that cannot happen because, as Tatum said, it's do or die now. And the first team to win at home wins the series.
Yeah, 100%.
They've beaten us twice. We've beaten them once. We beat them again. We're bringing it home, and it's a neutral. We still haven't won against them in a final series at home, but it's interesting to talk about, these close games because as much as I wasn't alive, Corey, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
We've been hearing all the stories, but the 2001 championship team were the kings of winning close games.
Yeah.
However, this season, it is our Achilles heel and it's our absolute inability to get it done in the close games. And unfortunately,
absolutely killing us, mate. It really is. And like I was there for that 2001 series, and I can't remember exactly what the stat was, but I remember they were talking about how many games we'd win by less than 6 points, and it just builds that confidence. You just know if it's close, you're going to get the job done, and the team feeds off that and almost like looks forward to it. Like looks forward to that close game. I just think it's the opposite for this current squad. They look nervous. They look unsure of themselves when the game's on the line and it's super close. The 2001 team were the complete opposite. They live for those moments. There were so many games where they just got the job done. Multiple players could get the job done. Melbourne Thomas was great. Damon Lowry. Campbell could hit threes. Sav was just super solid. We just had so many players who loved those moments, and they just fed off each other in those moments as a team. Unfortunately, this year, that hasn't been the case. And maybe because we've won so many games by such big margins, we haven't really had the chance to get ourselves in those moments. But when they have, it's just been quite obvious that we struggle in those moments. And the disappointing thing is, I really think that we could have the trophy in our hands right now, and me and you could be on a bit of a bender because we should have really won this series 3-0. I believe we've been, and I think most people will agree, we've been the better team for 9 out of the 12 quarters.
Oh, yeah.
9 out of the 12 quarters, we've been the better team, and we're down 2-1 in this series. It's all on the back of that stat you just said, 85-51 in last quarters, and every single game's been close. And it'll be crazy to think that the rest of the games aren't going to be close in this series. So it's tough. I don't know how they're going to do it. I know we can. Like, obviously won that game where Harvey hit that big shot, but in that game we're still up a significant margin. So and almost let it slip. So it's a very worrying stat and a worrying factor. So hopefully we can somehow get it done. But there's a few things that we want to talk about. Let's talk about the keys in this game.
So the keys to game for Corey. Kell's injury is a massive concern.
Yeah.
He sat out for most of the season, and the Hawks didn't, win quite a few games because it was that next man up mentality. Harvey was having games. Hickey was having games. Winey was having games. Blanchfield had, his spurt recently of games. They can step up and they can do it. But the big key about him being out is that the Hawks are 9-2 when he scores 20-plus points. And he doesn't often have 2 shit or bad games in a row of less than that. And if he's in the game, I would be seriously concerned about leaving him open at all because he's going to be firing. He's going to be on. He's going to be absolutely frothing at the mouth to get out there and get it done and bring it back home. But we need a high-scoring game for that to happen, Corey. It would be nice to see them hit 15-plus threes like they did in Southeast Melbourne in Game 3. But it needs to be a high-scoring game. They need to go back to what was working.
Yeah.
They have changed what was working, and it cannot happen. They went on that absolutely massive run in Game 3, and then next thing you know, he puts 4 different players on. Gives one of the players that was on the field, which wasn't really contributing at that point in time, but was doing a lot on the defensive end, and subbed in 4 new players. And then on the back of that, they went on their run, and we couldn't close out the game.
I think I agree with the high-scoring game needs to really happen for the Hawks here. It's super important that we can get a high rate of scoring. If Kell's out, we've already proven that we can win without him. I know it's going to be challenging, but we're going to need someone like Toddy, who has, like Lee, to step up, hit some threes, keep that score rolling. And it's proven we have been able to do that this year. So I think that's super important that someone can step up and help with that scoring load. Another key part of this game is obviously if Shea Illy is available to play, he would be a huge inclusion for them, especially at the defensive end. And again, especially if Kell's not there, that's going to allow him to like really lock in on Harvey and make it really challenging for him to score. So, yeah, there's a couple of big things we still are a bit unknown at the moment. We don't know with either of those players what their status is. So that's probably going to be a bit of a game day decision. It's already Tuesday and the game's tomorrow. So, yeah, we're not going to find out, I think. And so I think it's probably both coaches will probably keep those cards quite close to their chest as a bit of gamesmanship, which I don't mind, and try to make the other team think, oh, he's playing or not playing, and then come out and then try to shock them with something. So let's see what happens, mate. What else do you think some important parts of this game?
Getting the right five on to finish the games, Corey. Not seemed to find what works for them yet, but the high percentage shots to the low percentage shots in those fourth quarters, Melbourne's tactics to just leave Hickey open have been working. Like, he shot 8 threes, which must be a career high for him to only hit 2. He was 25% from the three the other night, and there was just some absolutely low percentage plays where he had a smaller defender on him and they just left him open.
Yeah, like wide open. It's as a basketball player, like I know, like when we play, if someone hangs off you, it's like it's disrespectful, and you're probably thinking, oh, they think I'm terrible. But it's hard mindset to think I want to make that shot, because you think about it too much. It's not a natural way of playing basketball where someone hangs off you, almost saying, we know that you're terrible from the three, take it, mate. You need to be very, very strong mentally to say, you watch, I'm going to show you this is going down. And they did that deliberately with Hickey, you could see, and they know he's really strong getting to the basket. So they want to protect that. So they're hanging straight off him and saying, shoot that. He hit a couple, but I'd back myself here and say, I don't think Hickey's hit more than 2 threes in a game this season. So when he hits 1 or 2, I'm even thinking in my head, I don't know if the next one's going down. So for him to shoot 8, I know he's wide open, but I don't think we can win games if Hickey's shooting 8 3-pointers in a game. So it's a real concern. I think we've got to get that 5 right. Like, we finished the game the other day with Wani, Hickey, and Froling on at the same time. And it concerns me offensively. I know they're trying to do it defensively, but I still feel Melbourne are getting shots and getting past Hickey and Wani, who are our 2 strongest defenders, and their guys are getting scored on. So at the end of games, you need guys who are going to score. And if we've got 3 guys who I think are a little bit reluctant to have the ball in their hand at the end of games, I'm talking the last couple of minutes, whether it's because they feel like they're a poor free throw shooter or they're not great from long range, it allows Melbourne to really focus their defense on Kell and Harvey, and then it makes it very, very tough. That's why we look very stagnant and we look very awkward and poor in our offense in those closing minutes of games. You've got to get that 5 right. And I would really consider having Days on in the closing moments. I think he's a guy. He showed it in this game. He banged it down low. He got some great buckets on good defender in Jack White and just took it and made it easy for us. And it just made us, I'm thinking, the end of games, if you can get that, get it inside. If he gets fouled, gets to the line. But he's also a capable 3-point shooter. So it opens it up for Kell and Harvey a little bit more. And he's capable defensively. I feel players can come on and lock in at end of games for a short period of times defensively, right? But it's much more difficult for someone who's defensive-minded to come in those closing moments and be strong offensively, all right? Because they traditionally do not want the ball in their hands. They don't want to take the big shot. So I think that's something that they need to consider in these fourth quarters in this game 4.
Now, predictions for game 4, Corey. I would love to sit here and talk absolutely just more shit about Melbourne, their tactics, the refereeing, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it does come down to the first team to win at home wins the series.
Yeah,
You've
that's
just
simple.
let Melbourne get a 2-1 lead heading back home, and that's dangerous because Goulding has not had a game where he's shot over 20 points yet.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely filthy, and it's horrific to think about because you're sending them down there with a chance to seal it, finish off our fairy tale season, as they're all calling it. And it's scary to listen to. But
what do you think, mate? What's your prediction for Game 4?
we've done it once. We've done it multiple times this season. Keep that underdog status because everyone loves an underdog.
Everyone loves
Corey.
an underdog. I'll have to wear that hat Wednesday.
Game 5 at home on Sunday, 2:30. We will see you there.
Oof.
Be there. Be square. Let's show them why we deserve to win it all.
Mate, I love your youthful passion, but I'm going to come from an old man's perspective. I'm hopeful, and when there's hope, like you got to stay. Like, think they can get it done. I just can't see it, and the reasons why are going to be this. Goulding hasn't had a big game yet. I can see him going up for 20. I'm concerned about whether Kell's going to play. Shea Illy, he could be a late inclusion. All these things are leaning to a Melbourne victory, celebrating at home, confetti flying everywhere, us devastated. It's been an incredible season, but I just don't know if I can see it happening again. I'm hopeful, and I'm going to be there at Principal on Wednesday supporting as much as I can, hoping that someone can stand up and this incredible season doesn't end in Melbourne. We can send it to a Game 5. Can we have a series when no home team wins? Can we have that? I just can't. Can that happen?
Team doesn't win.
Can that happen? It's just
I
incredible.
would hate for it to go to a Game 5 and they can't get it done at home. That would absolutely kill me.
That would break me as well.
That would kill me. I don't think I'd be able to watch. I think I would have to leave if we got 15 points down. I think I would have to leave because I would not be able to sit there and watch it and keep my composure.
It would be very, very challenging, and to see Melbourne celebrating on our home court would even hurt more.
Yeah.
So we'll be at Principal on Wednesday. I'm still going to be cheering hard, even though I'm not sure that the result's going to go our way. It could be our last game of the season. Let's hope not.
It won't be.
Go you Hawks. Fly.
You Hawks.
All right. Come on, boys. Come on. Let's go.